okay, maybe it's just me being ignorant. Or maybe it's just me just not understanding as well as any other wrestling fan in the planet. But last time I checked, when you win Money in the Bank, you have an opportunity to cash in any World Championship, including the NXT World Championship. Now, I hate why they call it that now, to bring some importance to a show that's like least like people thought. Well, if they're not ready to push Theory against Roman Reigns, why not just have him fit? Because it's just going to devalue the Money in the Bank. It goes for a developmental title that nobody else on the roster yearns for. Nobody, even Dolph Ziggler, went for that belt. You know how underwhelming it is that Dolph Ziggler went for the belt, not even Roman Reigns? Because who wants like a developmental championship that's been held by underwhelming talent? Then at least a Universal title, even though it was held by Finn Balor, Goldberg held it, Brock Lesnar held it. At least guys that at least are well known in the WWE sphere held it. Most of these guys are either out of company, blackballed, or buried. And people and Theory just comes in and cashes in at the main event of last a few nights ago on Raw against Seth Rollins for the United States title, all because it was main eventing. And this is coming over, I guess, despite that that Vince McMahon had high regard for Austin Theory, thinks he looks to be like a model-esque looking star. He had a good physique, decent look, seems to have some confidence over his promo ability, and can work with nearly anybody on the roster. And he barely puts up an average match, other than him being a tiny bit green on his personality and the selfie shit being pretty boring and having a pedo stash. Austin Theory has a bit of an upside of trying to be a cruising talent that has to develop between some of the characters to interact with, and I'm fine with that. That we've seen characters that began corny and thought they deserve to be buried into established names that we see today, and get pretty successful out of it. I'm not saying that they are that, but they developed from being a worser character to a household name like The Rock. Rocky Maivia ain't shit to The Rock. No, nobody ever references Rocky Maivia. Nobody references Biggie Langston. Everybody knows Biggie from the New Day. So there's characters that come up being bland into actual characters that pop up a lot more personality. And then Triple H just comes around and burying it over on live TV. And then the guy doesn't even make a moment of even pinning Rollins for a belt that's not even more valued than the world title or the Intercontinental. So why give it? So why just bury him over with the belt? That's my confusion over all of this. Now, what's up for Theory? Thinks he just cashed in on a mid-card championship over the main event and got already squashed over. Now, I understand they're trying to build feuds over with Theory, but why not just him, like, interrupt Roman in a promo, catch him off guard, cash in. If he fails, he fails. Maybe Rollins interrupts him. Maybe Kevin Owens interrupts him. I haven't even seen him on TV in months, bro, since his feud with Theory. So why not just make it integral, make it more must-see TV? No one's going to be like, I push option C on the X Division title. Like, does that sound like it makes sense to you, bro? Ever since I've seen Vince take the reins, everybody's putting up like, oh, WWE is just more enjoyable. Wrestling is just more watchable. We just want to say that because a new guy's taking the regime. Not that there's nothing much different into the show except that the Bloodline are coming in cars. Like, you haven't seen that in pro wrestling before, that anybody important comes through a nice looking vehicle before and in the middle of the show. Are you kidding me? There is nothing Triple H is doing different from when Vince McMahon was taking over the reins. And even if he found somebody that was bland, not doing it for him, or just can't get over, guess what? They're done. If they're already cutting over the developmental scene, and sometimes that does wonders, like Drew McIntyre, that came back from the Indies after being a pet project for Vince. And people are thinking that like Drew was just given very little time. I'm sorry, I've seen this since 2009, and he got released around at least 2016. I think that's plenty of no. I think around 2014 or 2015. Like, as soon as they cut him out, Chosen One, 3MB, that's it. That was over a multi-year worth of ideas that they could have had. And until they got a better build, spoke better, and got some more matches under his belt and got more used to traveling, then he came back, and then he became a two-time world champion. We don't get that. Nobody ever and I know Triple H is probably trying to keep everybody in nice terms, knowing that most of this is NXT regime. That's why you're seeing the Damage Control get more TV time. We're seeing the shit show of Johnny Gargano versus Miz. Like now Triple H is trying to make this more wrestle centric, and it ain't anything, man. And now I got to see that. Now we're not even trying to develop over a younger talent. And stop thinking like if we make the mid card titles more important, that means the show's not going to be better. Why not we just make the wrestlers better so the titles can actually be more established? No one cares about, oh my god, the Intercontinental title scene was just so impressive back in the '98. Whatever people thought about the Intercontinental Championship back in '98, it was when Rock was feuding with Austin for it. What? Where did this come from? Like, all because you have a great match or a great wrestler holding it just means that the belt is just elevated. It's the interactions and feuds you have with it. No one cared that just Macho Man is so great with the IC title. Is the interactions he had with Steamboat, Piper, Bret Hart, and then his interactions with Hogan that elevated him from being an upper mid card start to a main event. That's what it does. That's what the wrestler does with it to make the belt look important. It makes themselves look important at the long team of things, so everybody can go in for the upper card, a middle card to the upper card. That's how it works. So don't give me that. I'm sick of people thinking that wrestling has to be this communist thing, and everybody has to be in an equal playing field with everybody getting the equal amount of wrestling time, and then it just ends up with nobody looking good at the end of it, because even like nobody gets established at the end of it because everybody's in an equal playing field, and Triple H just thinks this is the same way because he thinks this is the NWA. It ain't the NWA. WWE's bigger than that, and we have bigger stars, and now we don't even have that. Other than Roman Reigns, nobody else is above the level of Roman Reigns, or at least more commercially successful since John Cena. And we can't even build something upon that with a young up and coming star that can be trendy, like Austin Theory. And Shawn Michaels ain't gonna make much of the difference. Paul Heyman isn't gonna make much of the difference. And unless the wrestlers themselves speak up about all this and try to make a different atmosphere for the business, I don't think this is gonna go better. Because the only way they can get like higher ratings, or at least make the show more interesting, if they do something for themselves, so we can actually have a watchable program. And Triple H isn't doing that. That's it for me. I just want to get this rant out the way because I really don't want to do an AEW Dynamite live reaction. I am possibly going to do Thursday Night Football tomorrow. And I don't know. The Veterans Day, I'm off. So you'll probably see a video from me, or probably not. Thanks for watching the DSD show. Hopefully you like, comment, subscribe, and share with close ones so we can reach up to 300, 400, 500, and more. That's it for me.